vet vad som gäller. Du har varit här för en stund sedan.
Yes.
Så välkomna upp allihopa.
Thank you very much. This seminar will be held in English. We are going to discuss land grabs in Mozambique, in northern Mozambique. We have at our disposal here on the stage people who have very specific and personal experience of what happens when international land grabbers acquire land and the conflicts that arise from that. With me, I have to my right Vanessa Cabanelas, who is from the Environmental Justice Organization in Mozambique, one of the leading NGOs working on environmental issues. And I have two representations from the province of Niassa in the very north of Mozambique, Antonio Bolasha and Alifa Aide. One of them has a personal experience of being a peasant and having his land taken away, and the other is working with the Mozambican Peasant Union, UNAC. We are talking about a situation where land has been grabbed for a number of different reasons. It is mostly fueled by the demand on the world market. It could be food, it could be agri-fuels, it could be raw materials for industrial production. And this happens in a country that happens to have one of the most progressive land laws in all of Africa. Mozambique has a land law which recognizes peasant rights and which recognizes communal right to land. Many countries on the African continent don't have such a progressive law that recognizes and in principle supports peasant rights to land. As you may know, as in many African countries, land is not privately owned. Peasants who use land have the right to use it, but they don't own it. The land belongs to the state. And one of the questions we will discuss today is if the fact that land is not a private commodity leads to that more land is being grabbed than otherwise should be. But let me try and start with you, Vanessa, and tell us about what is happening in Mozambique, and specifically in northern Mozambique, where there is a corporation called Green Resources, a very nice name, which has had lots of conflicts around its investments. Please, Vanessa.
Thank you very much. Our case is regarding Green Resources Mozambique, which is a Norwegian-based company and has operations in Uganda and Tanzania as well. They work with monoculture plantations for eucalyptus and pine. They have been working in Mozambique for more than 10 years now, and they are considered the largest plantation company in Mozambique. They have around 268,000 hectares of land under their control. They have requested authorization to our government, and it has been accepted. One of the main issues is that our land law, as was mentioned before, is very progressive, but it does not explain exactly how the process should be done. In practical terms, the company that requires land for any sort of investment needs to have an application with government saying the amount of land they want and for what use. And then government assigns them that land, but they have to negotiate with local communities how to then obtain this land. Local communities need to have their express and informed consent for this land to then be authorized for use. Unfortunately, around 50% of the Mozambican population, the rural population, are illiterate. So they are not capable of negotiating in equal terms with large companies such as Green Resources. Therefore, we have many cases of land conflicts, and Green Resources is one of them. Green Resources for the past 10 years has only been able to use 10%, a little bit less than 10% of this area, and the rest is still there. It is important to state also that this land, or the duats, are divided in 74 land titles. It's not the 268 hectares in only one land title. There are 74 land titles, which make it much easier for companies to obtain the authorization if they require smaller amounts of land each time. So each of these titles requires an authorization, because if you go above a certain number of hectares, you will require authorization from the parliament, and it's a more difficult and complex process. The same thing happens with environmental issues. If you do a comprehensive environmental impact assessment of all your areas and all your plantations, you will have a cumulative impact. And if you do it separately in each of your sites, you will have then separate impacts. They seem smaller and easier to manage. What is happening at this moment is this company came in, negotiated with communities, with local communities. In exchange for their land, they were promising jobs for everyone, better lives, schools, construction of schools, of hospitals, roads, and all of this. But let's remind that these plantations are established in the Nacala-korridor, the Nacala Development Corridor, which is one of the four most important development corridors in Mozambique. Land is actually very fertile, and it's considered the breadbasket of Mozambique. So we are basically exchanging land for food production with land for monoculture plantations. Considering again that we have a big problem with our native forests, they are being explored at a very accelerated rate, so they are diminishing. And we are, instead of protecting our native forests, we are allowing monoculture plantations to come in and substitute these forests, as if this was a reforestation program from our government. Community consultations were done, but the benefits were explained, but impacts were not explained thoroughly to the communities. Community accepted investment, thinking their lives would actually be better. Now you have more than 14 communities within these sites that are claiming compensation was not paid fully. Their fields were not actually properly measured, so the compensation could be paid, because our land law states that land belongs to the state, therefore it cannot be sold or leased, it has to be negotiated. And the communities are compensated for their losses, for their trees, for their fields, for their crops and their houses, not actually for the land. Green Resources has been denying all of this, of course, and they claim they are a very sustainable business with FSC certification. 2 weeks ago we had a meeting in Maputo with them, and they claim they have certification, everything is under control, everything is done according to the law. We went to Norway, had a few meetings, and found out that they lost certification for some of the sites. We were actually been questioning for the past 4 years, how can a company as bad as this have FSC certification? Does this make it think that this is a sustainable business in Mozambique? This is a way to go? And I think I've said more than enough. Thank you.
This is very worrying, because most of us are used to see, when we see the seal of FSC, Forestry Stewardship Council, we are liable to think that this means a seal of approval. But you are now saying either that the company has been lying, or that they at least have been misinforming both the peasants and an organization like your own, like the Justizia and the Environmental Justice Organization, by claiming that they have this seal of approval, when in fact they did not have it.
They had it until last year, May. They just lost it. But the problems with the company, between the company and the peasants, go way back before 2013. So we don't understand how can they keep this certification if they had everything going against them. They had land conflicts, they had expropriation, there are entire families that were left with nothing. No fields, no crops, no compensation. And they had to move from their communities and find other fields and other spaces.
Thank you very much. We will now make this a little more, even more complicated, because we will have it partly in Portuguese and partly in English. But the first question that I would like to call, shall I översätta mig själv? Jag vill kolla uma pergunta para a sua própria experiência sobre estes investimentos. And my question that we're putting here is to get the personal experience of Senor Bolasha, who is a peasant who has met these investments and has heard all these promises. Please.
Chamo-me Antonio Bolasha. Sou de Moçambique, a província de Nampula.
My name is Antonio
Distrito de Ribaue, localidade de Namigonha.
My name is Antonio Bolasha, and I come from the region Nampula, from the community Lamakuku, Lancheki, and Maparara.
Sim, eu quero dizer que estou aqui por causa de ser afetado 3 povoados, na Meparara, na Macuco e Lancheque.
I'm here to represent these communities because I am affected.
Pela empresa da Lúrio Gré, que chegou em 2009 e ocupou área de 635 hectares.
They arrived in 2009 and are occupying 630 hectares, 100 hectares.
O número dos afetados são de 345 pessoas, de 3 povoados.
And this is affecting over 300 people in 3 different communities.
Cheguei aqui, estou aqui para procurar solução. O que a procura de alguém ou de qualquer país que pode nos ajudar para poder a empresa para podermos ceder as nossas terras ou dar-nos as nossas recompensações.
I'm here to seek help to hold the company responsible for their actions and make them compensate us.
Caso se não querem nos dar, então, se eles não querem cumprir as promessas que eles tinham feito de escola, melhorar a estrada, hospitais, empregos, então, caso eles não conseguem, é melhor retirar da nossa terra para nós estarmos a cultivar.
If they don't want to complete their promises about schools and hospitals, better highways and employment, then they can leave our country.
Porque nós, sem terra, povo desse sem terra, nós dependíamos da terra, todos, quer hospital, quer as nossas crianças, quer qualquer assunto de trabalho, dependíamos da agricultura. Então agora não temos terreno para trabalhar, não temos terreno para fazer o que estamos assim mesmo desalojados. Então estamos a pedir a Lúrio Gré cumprir as promessas que ele prometeu, que ia nos dar hospital, estrada, escola e ia pagar todos os produtos que eles invadiram naquela área.
Well, we... yeah, we want them to complete their promises about the schools and social services that they were promising us.
Não tenho mais, obrigado. Acho que termino por aqui. O que me fez chegar aqui é o pedido, o apelo de qualquer cidadão, aquele que sabe o sofrimento de povo como nós, que já fomos afetados com 635 hectares e não temos terreno, não temos nada. E nós dependíamos de terreno.
We were depending on the land to sustain ourselves, and now we don't have anything. That was our life, and we're here to seek help.
Thank you very much, Senor Bolasha. Now we'll go to Senor Alifa, who is a member of the Peasant Union, UNAC, in Maputo, in Mozambique, I'm sorry. And what we heard about the promises who were not met and the promises not fulfilled in this specific case, would you say that you can see some similar cases all over Mozambique?
Muito obrigado. Primeiro agradecer por esta oportunidade.
Thank you. I just want to thank you for having this opportunity to speak here.
Chamo-me Alifa Aidi, vice-presidente da União Provincial de Camponeses de Niassa.
I'm Alifa
Aidi,
and I'm vice president of the Peasants Union.
O objetivo da nossa organização é a organização de camponeses que representa os camponeses ao nível do governo, outras organizações não governamentais, econômicos e sociais.
We're representing the communities and the peasants and on different levels, national and regional.
Defendendo interesses e direitos dos próprios camponeses.
And we defend their interests.
E como eu disse que nós defendemos os direitos e interesses dos próprios camponeses, então registramos algumas irregularidades na implementação de alguns megas projetos na nossa província e do país em geral.
As defenders of the rights of peasants, we have seen similar patterns of violations of rights around the country.
Como acabava de dizer a companheira Vanessa, que nós temos a lei muito bonito, mas na implementação não está bem implementado.
Like Vanessa said, we have very nice laws, but the implementation is lacking.
Onde começa o erro é na consulta comunitária.
And where that begins is with the consultation of the communities.
As consultas comunitárias não está seguido como está na lei.
They are not followed like it's said in the law.
Então, o que acontece é que as comunidades são ameaçadas, não são consultadas, são ameaçadas para ceder as terras.
So what is happening is that the communities are being threatened to leave their lands.
Então as comunidades cedem a terra não com aquela vontade. Então aí vem os problemas que aqui vou explicar.
We don't want to leave the land, and I'll explain further.
Como eles cedem as terras sem vontades, então ali começa. Eles prometem emprego, o emprego dele fica 3 meses, dali a pessoa é desempregada.
They promise employment, but after 3 months or a couple of months, there is no more employment.
E o emprego não é para toda a comunidade, só é empregado 3 a 4 jovens.
And the employment is not for the whole community, it's only for a few people.
E depois ali naquela comunidade, como as pessoas não têm mais terra próxima para capinar, vão fazer machambas muito longe, a tantos quilômetros.
And as they don't have the land close to their homes anymore, they need to go as far as 30 kilometers. 30 kilometers to find new land to have their crops.
Como vocês sabem, na África tem problema de transporte. Essas comunidades não têm transporte, então acaba de sair na comunidade onde vive 6 meses longe da sua casa.
And there are no good transportation systems, so there is no fast way of moving such long distances.
As crianças não estudam e o analfabetismo está crescendo.
Which means that the children have to go with them in the field, and they can't go to school anymore. And illiteracy is rising.
O emprego que não é seguro, esses desempregados começam a fazer muitos perturbes nas cidades, nas comunidades, a roubar coisas, a matar pessoas.
And the people that lost the employment and can't go back to their lands to be peasants, they go to the city and involve in criminal activities.
Porque ele ofereceu sua machamba que estava a trabalhar em garantia de que vai ter emprego. Depois, quando perde emprego, já não tem onde trabalhar.
Because they promised their land in exchange of employment, and when they don't have employment anymore, they're just expelled.
Também perturba a consciência social. As pessoas já começam a criar na família, criar inimizade por causa de que eles, quando o momento que estava empregado na empresa, ele defendia a empresa, já não defendia a família, e quando acaba o emprego, ele já não é aceito na família.
This creates social disturbance. They're not accepted anymore into the community because they're traitors. So they're not accepted back to their families.
E por causa de não ter terras, muitos saem para a cidade, ficam aglomerados na cidade, e na cidade começa a crescer o índice de corrupção e muita propagação de doenças.
Which creates problems in the cities.
Então, tinha muita coisa para falar, mas muito obrigado. O tempo já não basta.
Jag har mycket att säga, men vi har inte mycket tid att berätta allt.
As you heard Senora Alifa has very much a long tail to tell, and our time is now running out. We will move over to the Jordens Vänner, Friends of the Earth stall at the back of this room. So if you are all welcome to join us there to get more information and to hear more about what you can be done. I would also like to mention that there is a report available free of charge that has been published by our Mozambican friends, which tells the story of this case of land grabbing. Thank you very much. Muito obrigado.